What is happening, everybody? Hope you're all doing fantastic out there. Let's just kick it off. Let's hang out for a little bit. And I want to talk about something that, unfortunately, we probably all have one of these stories. And, sorry, I'm like checking, I'm like, did I hit record on the camera? A guitar that we regret selling. Maybe there's a reason why you had to sell it. I know in my case, I had to sell a couple of important guitars, but there's one that really sticks out. And actually, I might make a second video a little bit later trying to track this guitar down. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm trying to figure out if I can find the serial number for it. So anyways, we all have these guitars. We all have stories of guitars we've sold. Maybe we thought we didn't care about as much as we did. Maybe, we needed money or something like that. That's kind of the pros and cons of being a guitarist, is if you have a lot of guitars, well, if things get bad, sometimes you got to sell some guitars. And certainly been in that situation. So the guitar that got away from me is an American Strat. And I'll throw a picture. I don't have many pictures of it because this was all, pre-YouTube, basically. When I mainly had the Strat, I have a couple YouTube videos, maybe only one or two, with the actual Strat in them. Like I said, very early on. And I really regret selling it. So this was, I believe, a 2006 Strat, rosewood fingerboard, white pickguard. On the back of it, being a dumb kid, I had stenciled on, I think I put EVH on the back or something like that, just on the pickup, or the cavity control compartment, geez, I can't talk, or something like that. But, so, by all means, I don't know if it's a special Strat. I feel like I know so much more about guitars now, but it's a guitar that meant a lot to me. So this was my first real guitar I ever had. And basically what I had done was I somehow convinced my dad, after I'd been playing for a couple months, I had a very cheap Samick guitar is what I started on, and I convinced him that I wanted this guitar. Now, there was a guitar that I actually wanted, which was the Stevie Ray Vaughan. I didn't know who Stevie Ray Vaughan was. I just liked the way that guitar looked with the black pickguard. It's in it with the old big letters and stuff like that. And when I went there, the price had went up on it, a couple $100, so I couldn't get it. But they had this other one that looked very similar to it, but with a white pickguard instead of a black one. I was like, well, I'll get that, and I'll just change the pickguard to black, which I never did. So I somehow convinced him. I remember we got it for $900. It was on sale, $900, and I believe $69. And I got him to not co-sign, but basically do like a payment plan with it. So I worked with him. My dad owned his own construction business, and I did what was called groundhog work, or like tear off stuff. Where basically I would just wheelbarrow shingles and tote around metal and all whatever they needed done. I was the groundhog, crew. I was cleanup crew basically, which sucked. It's a brutal job if you do construction stuff. Like, I feel you. I did it for a couple years with my dad, and I did that all summer long and cut my grandma's yard and stuff like that, and got the money and paid for it. It took my whole summer break to get that guitar. And I had it and loved it, and then I originally put a hot rail in it, and I took that back out. I wanted to go back to a Strat, and I had an Ibanez at the time, and I kind of had quit playing the Strat, but it meant a lot to me. But basically, I believe it was the first summer that I went full-time teaching. I quit my normal job, which was at Sam's Club. I was in marketing, and I quit that job and pursued teaching, and I didn't realize during the summertime you have an enormous drop-off in students. Like, I remember my goal was if I could get 40 students, then I would quit my job, and I had like 42, quit the job, and then summer rolled around, and it went down to like 18 students. Like, it was, I was like, whoa, like, it was like really scary because we had Mason at the time, and those who don't know, Mason actually had a milk allergy, so he couldn't use soy. Sorry, this is all like a random story, but it all comes together. He couldn't have like soy, like the formula and stuff like that. He needed this very special kind, and it was so expensive. I believe, if I remember correctly, it was $45 for this tiny little can. So like normal baby formula was like 20 bucks, and you got this huge can, and then he had to have the kind that was $45 for this tiny little can. And it just came down to, you know, we had bills to pay and stuff like that. And I had gotten my white Charvel at that point a few years prior. And that was pretty much my main guitar. If you can see my earlier videos, they're all with the white Charvel. So unfortunately, you know, it was what it was. And I was like, you know, I hate to sell it, but, you know, I got to sell something. And the Charvel was my main guitar, so I sold that. And I sold my Ibanez RGA Prestige. And, you know, that was just kind of the end of the guitar. And that was probably, I want to say, maybe 8 years ago. No, sorry, Mason. So it would have been, it was probably before he was 1. So it's like 6 or 7 years ago now at this point. And, you know, I was just thinking recently, the past couple months about it, and I was talking to my wife. I said, you know, I would really love to track that guitar down and find it and be reunited. I have a friend of mine who, a very similar situation, had to sell one of his guitars, just had bills to pay back in the day, and this guitar had actually been floating around for like 20 years, and it ended up in Florida, and somehow it ended up in one of his friends who lived in Florida, and I was like, dude, I think I have your guitar. And it was, and he bought it back, and he, you know, reunited with this guitar that had been gone for like, I think it was 20 or 25 years, I can't remember. But I was just kind of really thinking, I was like, man, you know, if there was one guitar that I regret selling, it is that Strat. I would love to get it back. So I'm trying to figure out, the store I sold it to was, when I used to live in Mansfield, was a place called Metronome Music. And they're looking for it for me right now to see if they can find maybe the serial number. I can't find where I had written down all my guitar serial numbers. I'm trying to find that, but we've moved a couple times and stuff like that. So I want to find it, you know? If someone on here happens to be watching it and they're like, hey, you know what? I bought this rosewood neck Strat that someone had stenciled something on the on the back compartment cavity. You might have my guitar, and I would love to buy it back, you know, assuming the person doesn't want too much. You know, unfortunately, making a video about it could potentially lead to someone wanting to take advantage of obviously knowing that I want the guitar. But you know, maybe if I could find it and the price is right, I'd love to buy it back and stuff like that. And it'd be really, really cool to be reunited with that guitar. It's got some dings on it where, you know, I just carried it around with me all over the place, where I remember a screen door had shut and smacked it and put a nice little dent in it down here. Had some other nicks and dings on it. But that's my guitar, and like I said, you know, sometimes that happens. You know, I've always just sucked it up and like, hey, you know what? Taking care of them is always, you know, priority number one. I'll sell everything that I have if I have to, but you know, I would love to find that guitar again. I'd love to hear, maybe there's some guitar stories you have of one that got away from you, and maybe you tracked it down. Maybe give me an encouraging story to maybe make this happen. But who knows? Maybe if I can find the serial number and stuff like that, I'll make a second video. And maybe it can be a cool little thing here on YouTube that we'll try to track down this guitar. But I'm going to bounce on out of here, guys, and I will be seeing you all later. Hold on to your guitars if you can, and hey, let's play some guitar right now. So I'll see you guys later. Whoop!